Hey y'all, it's Jamelia and I have my mom Latasha.
Hello.
So for a while we've been wanting to do a podcast. So I was like, hey mom, let's do walks and talks, so we can get our exercise in and be able to still talk and do the podcast. So this podcast I wanted to talk about healing. And my mama, she don't even know what questions I'm gonna ask her, but I'm pretty sure she's prepared anyway. She's a phenomenal God-fearing woman. She's a wife. She's a mother. So I feel like who better to talk to about healing and growing into a new person. Okay, so first question, Mom. What? How does healing let's say, intertwine with a woman that's trying to become a new woman? What's some things you had to unlearn to relearn?
All right, so what I had to do first was really right my wrongs, really find out um, where I was going wrong at. Actually, to start a healing journey, you have to learn how to forgive. So, whatever it may be, you may have been abused, you may have been harvesting feelings, holding on to something that may have happened to you in your adolescent life. So for me, I had to learn to first of all recognize what was going on with me and face it head on, and then um, my healing journey was able to start.
Nice. That's good, Mom. That's good. Okay, so I'm probably gonna spin this a little bit, just to, but still intertwined with the healing process.
Uh-huh.
Um, so if it's okay, just let them know my mom recently lost her dad, and things been tough. So I wanted to know, how are you dealing with grief? How are you taking? What steps are you taking in order to heal?
Kind of fresh. It's still fresh. I, which my father lost him 2 weeks ago. So my steps that I try to take, is I kind of honestly, prayer be the first thing. But I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I fall weak. I fall a little short, and I find myself constantly grieving a whole lot. So today I decided, let me get out, let me try to push myself, let me work a little bit, because if I didn't, I feel like sometimes I was drowning. So I didn't want to drown and get into a deep depression. So for me, I need to get out and kind of stay busy. I like cooking and I like baking. So I had started doing that to try to keep my mind off of it. But when I'm by myself, honestly, I'm I still grieve a lot.
And that's normal. And it's tough on both parties. I'm learning how to deal with someone that's grieving, and she's learning how to deal with grief. And I really like this because we're learning together. We're in it together. We're figuring it out. We're figuring out, what we need to do or how the steps to take. Um, so it's a learning process for both of us. So with this, you're a mom, you're an entrepreneur. Um, what you don't do, you're a wife. You do a lot. You have a lot of different roles. So I was wondering, how do you balance it all? How do you balance dealing with grief, being a mother, being a wife? How are you still showing up?
Well, I do know that I do have a family to take care of, and we got a younger daughter, which is 13, and then I also got two other daughters that really need me. So I have to, and my husband need me. So I have to still kind of shake off even what I be dealing with. But my husband has been really patient. The kids been really patient. Um, helped me through the process. Everybody been patient with me. So I just kind of still try to pull myself together, get in there and do what I need to do because they still need me too.
And you're absolutely right, Mom. You've been still showing up, and I think that's amazing to still show up after you lost your dad. and still showing up for other people, even while you're hurting yourself, that really speaks volume to the woman that you are. Um, so, during this healing process, what are some steps you think you need to take, or what do you think you need to let go of in order to continually healing properly?
I know that I can't afford to. I don't have a capacity for any negativity right now. Um, and for me, during this process, I did learn that time is everything. For me, I wish I would have had more time with my dad, and I didn't get that because things happen so fast. It spirals so fast. So for me, it's about making new memories, staying positive, and showing up for my family, but letting go all negativity, especially with my family. And during this time, it's time to really start to pull together and love, and try to love on everybody, and not just my family, but also, like I said, make new memories. And I also have to protect my peace. So, and guard my heart.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with all of those things, especially the negativity part. I think it's important to be around people that uplift you, that speak positive, like be a positive light, instead of somebody that's always being negative. Just trying to dampen your spirit. Okay, so you spoke about protecting your peace, guarding your heart. How does that look? What are you doing to do this, or what's something that you say that you're doing to say, hey, I'm not gonna do this because I want to protect my peace? Hold on, y'all. She got a phone call.
So protecting my peace look like for me is like we talked about, staying away from all negativity. When people call me with negative, I don't have that capacity for that. So for me, also protecting my peace and guarding my heart, I have to stay rooted and grounded in my word. I have to read some inspirational stuff. I have to look at some inspirational stuff. And I found out last night that it was kind of too early. I was looking at this movie and didn't know that this in the beginning of the movie, this lady was actually losing her mom. And so it really, started to hit home, started to bother me. And I heard her say something about time. And that's what, for me, I just know I have to move in the right direction of constantly looking at what's before me and not what's behind me.
Okay, so you mentioned about you watching a movie and about, like the lady losing her mom. So would you say like that was a trigger for you, and are you learning different trigger points, and how are you coping with it? Are you trying to stay away from it? How do you go about this with healing?
So, yes, it was a trigger point for me because I'm learning that we all on borrowed time, whether we believe it or not. We're on borrowed time. Everything have an expiration on it. Some people die prematurely, but we all have expiration dates. Everything. You look at the medicine, have expiration date on it. You look at food, it have an expiration date on it. Everything have an expiration date on it. So I'm learning, even through this process, our time is so precious. So we have to, like I said, every day live your day like it's your last. Because we never know. I didn't even expect to lose my dad within a week. It was like a week. My dad just stopped talking. It's just stuff happens so freaking fast. And I'm learning through this process. And like I said, the movie, yes, it was a trigger because it was it's something that I just experienced. Never experienced it with somebody that close to me.
Okay, so I think what I'm trying to ask is, we're on the topic of trigger points. how does trigger points kind of intervene with healing? Are you mostly, and this don't even have to just be about your dad, it's just be, in general, the other process that you went through. Are you coping with trigger points? Do you stay away from it? How do you go about this while dealing with healing, if that makes sense?
So how I deal with my trigger points, I kind of try to deal with them head on instead of actually harvesting them again. So I kind of tell a person, hey, I don't like this because of this.
Okay.
Or I had a bad experience with that.
Okay.
And so instead of me being closed in and keeping my mouth closed and acting out, I kind of just go ahead and inform a person, hey, this trigger, this right here reminds me of something that I went through. Or it triggers me in some sort of way. And then that person may ask me why, and then I may go into detail, even to help me deal with it so I can properly heal like I need to. Because a lot of times we harvest stuff. We don't talk about it. We just be quiet about it. And for me, in order for me to heal, I have to talk about it. And I learned that along the way.
That's good. Okay, y'all, we have to make a store run, but we're back. Alright. So, I'm learning that grief comes in all different forms. And, whether it's losing a job, losing a friend, losing a parent. Because I thought grief was just about losing, someone close to you. But I'm learning that it's not even just that. You can grieve in many different ways. And so how do we go about we talked about dealing with the grief, but how do we go about forgiving or not having a sense of anger towards God because we lost something that we thought was so dear to us?
So, for me, and I know, like I said, it was like basically based off my dad. I was watching him, going through his transition, but the word of God say, hey, lay hand on sick and they will and shall recover. Right? We was doing that. We was speaking the healing over my dad. By his Christ we are healed. And we was believing it. And it's not saying that God didn't heal him. We did see some things start to happen. They came in and they told us, hey, my daddy's numbers changed. His numbers was bad off at first. They say his numbers up here and it's looking bad. Then they come back and say, all his numbers stable. So God was actually doing everything that we asked him to do. And he was actually doing it. My daddy was getting better. And the numbers, and nobody really could understand the process and what was going on. His numbers were getting better. Everything was getting better. Transition right before our eyes. God still honored his word. He still did what he said he was going to do. He still healed my dad. We reminded him of his word. And he did just that. But God had other plans. And so I had to decide to accept it. Whatever God's plan was, I had to release him. And that was one of the hardest things that I had to do, was release my dad. And not be angry with God's choice, because I did say, God, whatever your will is, let it be done. I know it wasn't for my dad to have to suffer and couldn't even take care of himself. But I said, God, whatever your plan is. And I still deal with it because it's still somebody that I lost that was dear to me. And to answer your question about other things, or not, resenting God, sometimes we have to go back and say, hey, and look at the big picture. God still blessed in the midst. Mm-hmm. He still did honor his word. He did still do what he said he was going to do. And it's just beyond our control.
Wow. Sheesh. That's really good, Mom. That's good that, you're able to still move in such grace, as I would want to say. Just another question is, how are you I want to say, how are you dealing with your emotions? Basically, how does someone reach this level of emotional intelligence, I should say?
You know, the Bible talks about, and I know I've been quoting a lot about the Bible, said, let the weak say I'm strong. And so I kind of remind myself of that even in my weakest point. And just keep on reminding myself of who I am and what God chose me to be in the process of me healing.
That's really good. That's good. Okay. Yeah, I'll be having to cut the camera because my arm, tired. But I guess my last and final question would be, so how do we go about supporting you in this rough time? What do you feel like you need to, from us to help you support you throughout this tough journey?
I would say just keep checking up on me, keep praying for me, and keep standing with me and have patience with me through the process.
Beautiful. We got you, girl. Y'all, okay, so this is going to be the end of our walks and talks. Let's see how many miles. I don't even know. We probably did like 3 miles, I want to say, roughly. Because my watch stopped at 2 miles. But we went to the store and everything, and we still are walking home. But make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, follow. We're going to do this more often. I really enjoyed this conversation with you, Mama.
I enjoyed it with you too.
All right, y'all. We checking out. Bye.
Peace.